Thank you, sir.
The sword side. And my name is Anokye, and here is called Bantam. And when I say Bantam is part of Kumasi, where our legendary priest called Priest Anokye planted a sword since 1695, and that is sword here. So the sword has been there for since 1695, 324 years, 2020, and nobody have able to put the sword out. And the priest didn't put the sword here to show wonders or to tell us how powerful it is, but purposely for the unity in Asante kingdom here and where Asante began, and where he stood and conjured the golden stool, which is the highest stool in Asante kingdom from the sky. And we have the portrait or the picture of that stool here. Before that time, or before the day this sword was put in here, or the golden stool was conjured, that time there is no Asante. So we don't have a particular group of people or states called Asante. But then we are our Akans. A state with the parliament chiefs, and we call that state Akan state. So if one state wants power, you go to war and you conquer. So when you go to war and you conquer, you get powers. Power is about people, land, wealth, and wisdom. So it came to a point, one of the states among the Akans called Denchira. And Denchira people can be found in central region of Ghana here. They became powerful because anytime they wage war, they defeat others. And because of their powers, they try to sit aside. They don't want to work. And they will order the conquered state to serve them every 42 days. And anytime those conquered people found themselves on Denchira land, Denchira people gave them bad treatment. Because of that, all the chiefs on the conquered state, they all met here. The devil heard like this. So they met here purposely to find their solutions. So they are gathering, and the priest told them that before they can conquer or before they can free themselves from the Denchira people, they have to join together so that they can get a united body and wage war against the Denchira people back. And all the chiefs agreed. So the priest told them why they agreed for war. Every war there should be a leader. And now they are all chiefs. So he said he cannot choose the leader by himself. That's the reason why he stood in the middle of the people like this, and he called the golden stool to come from the sky, and he told them that when the golden stool will land on his lap, that person will be the leader. And the stool landed on the lap of King Asante the first, making him unconscionable leader. And we have the first king, or the king that the golden stool landed on his lap, which are here. He did the first king of Asante. So he told them that while the golden stool have came from the sky, every chief has a stool. In Asante kingdom or in Akan state, every chief has a stool. And we call that stool the black stool. We have some pasted here. We have the replica of the black stools here. So while you were chiefs, when they are coming, they came along with their black stools. That showed that they were chiefs. So the priest told them they are not going to set their black stools anymore while the golden stool have been conjoined. But rather, you're not going to pay homage to the golden stool the gods are giving to them. And all the chiefs agreed. So individual heads of the chiefs and fingernails was cut and burned them to ashes by Okomfo. And the priest add some of the ashes into a palm wine for them to drink, or for the chief, those who gathered there, for them to drink as a covenant. And the rest of the ashes, he collected all their stools that like this one that they carried. He collected all their black stools and buried them here where the sword is. He bore a big hole here and put all their black stools alongside with the rest of the ashes inside the hole. So when he covered it, before he put the sword on top of their black stools. So on the beneath of the sword is the individual black sword he collected from them, or they are under the sword. So when everything was done, the priest made a prophecy. He told him that it would be a time he will be a healing place for many. That's the reason why the hospital was built over 200 years back. A contract was awarded to a company at Europe called G. Walker and Slater Company by Public Works Department to build a hospital for us. So when they came in to build the land and they found out that this land is very rich or good for them to build a hospital, they go ahead, clear the land and build this up in the 1950s. So during the construction of the hospital, they came and found the sword. They thought it was gold, because in olden days they used gold as a currency, and that time they called it gold because not Ghana. And that time too, we don't have banks, so some people kept their money at home, others buried them and used symbols on it for the near future. So when they saw this one, they thought somebody had buried some gold here with a symbol, so they have to take it off. So when they are digging around the sword, instead of the sword to show up, it was going down or sinking. So they came with the machines. The sword became invisible. So they took that opportunity to excavate every place where they can find, but they couldn't find again. Later on, the sword appears. So when they came back, found out that the sword is there again, they tried to spread the message across the nation and across the whole world. And a lot of people heard what is happening here and showed they should pull it out, including the late heavy boxer called Muhammad Ali, or Cassius Clay. He was here in 1964 to show the strength, but he couldn't. And that time we have one Ghanaian boxer called Jack Tola. He came here with juju or voodoo or yale from the powerful people to spend here. He spent 1 week couldn't put the sword out. Because the sword he was not putting here to show wonders or to throw challenges, but purposely for the unity in Asante Kingdom from the sky. And where Asante began, and where he stood and controlled the golden stool, which is the highest stool in Asante Kingdom from the sky. And when I said where Asante began, I said before that time there was no Asante, but then we are our accounts. But those people who met here, they became Asantes. They became Asantes from the time they joined together. They joined together purposely to wage war. And the war in my language or in Akan language, we say Esa. Esa means war. So their fellow Akans call them Asante for, hence because of war. It's because of war individual chiefs gathered here that time. So we get the word Asante for from the word Asante for, means because of war. Thank you very much. And over here we have the stools here. When you come here, you can sit down and you tell a brief history about Asantes or about the sword. But this stool here, you cannot sit on. This stool belongs to the king of Asante. We have bottles inside here. You call these bottles, or you call this one schnapps. You use schnapps to do libations or to pray to the ancestors. In a traditional way of praying, you use schnapps. So this performation of the ritual is done by the king. So every time the king comes here to pray, he sits on this stool. So except this stool, when you come here, you can see any of these stools here. And over here we have a replica or the sample of the sword. This is how the sword blade looks like. Because the one inside here, you cannot see the blade, but you can see the handle. So we are using this one to show to the public how the blade of the sword looks like. So when you come to this place, you see a lot of things here. You see the replica of the sword, and you see the red sword, which was planted by our legendary priest Anokye. And we have the effigy or a small skirt of Okomfo here holding the golden sword as well. And we have a blast tool here. I was explaining something about the blast tool. We have 2 types of blast tool, 4 categories of blast tool. Every state in Akan or in Asante here ruled by 2 people, a male and a female. So a state is ruled by a chief. An empire is ruled by a king. So Asante here, we have only one king, the king of Asante. A king of Asante does not have a blast tool, but rather a white tool. A king is a person who rules an empire. A chief is a person who rules just a state. So the difference between a king and his chief is that the king has a white stool, which is the soul, the embodiment, the office of the king. And the chief has a black stool, which is the soul, the embodiment, the office for the chief. But a king will get a black stool when he passes on. So our current king, Okomfo, has a white stool. When he passes on, his stool will turn to black. But rather, we need something that will add to the blood and we paint this white stool, which will become black. So every state, in the same apply to the kings. I told you that you have two people who rule a state, a male and a female. The same apply to the chiefs. The chief rules by 2 people, a male and a female. Whilst a chief, a male has a white stool, a black stool, the same apply to the chief, the chief female has a black stool. The same apply to the king. A king female or the queen mother has a white stool. The same about the king himself has a white stool. When they passes on, their stools will turn to black. but rather you change the color or you paint it to become black. So that the replica of the black schools you have in Asante here, some, but not all. So I'm giving that.
Yeah, I can see. Yeah, the side yard. I read seen the story about that. Anokye side. I'm Usman Toss, representing Anokye side. Thank you.